Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is day 12 of my journey to learn Japanese, and I started this series as a complete beginner, and these streams is about documenting my every step as I work towards becoming something much more than a complete beginner, hopefully. And over the last 11 days, I've learned how to read and type hiragana and katakana, and also learn 100 or so basic words of Japanese vocabulary. But today I'm going to go back to the basics and practice writing hiragana using the correct stroke order. I've already done a little bit of that, but I'm going to continue with that process today. And so let's get started. Uh, we're here on the Lingo Command website. And if we go here to writing systems and we select Japanese writing systems practice and we go to basic hiragana, we then get this table where on the left we've got the romaji equivalent for every hiragana, and then on the right we actually have the hiragana, and here each character is actually essentially a hyperlink. So when you press that, you get this video that pops up showing the correct stroke order. For that character. And if you want to just know how the character is pronounced, you can press here on the audio button. But in any case, if we now go to the quiz and we practice translating from English to Japanese hiragana, so if you uncheck swap languages, the questions are now being posed in romaji, like using the English alphabet. And so here we're now gonna type in we're gonna put in the hiragana equivalent. However, we're actually going to handwrite our answer. So if you check this box, then when you click here, you get this this box in which you can draw the character. So let's make a start. This is the first stroke, the second, and the third for the hiragana character a. So let's submit that, and we'll do a quick comparison check. And let's just zoom out a little bit because we're too zoomed in here. There we go. So this is equivalent. So we're going to say this drawing matches. So we've got this question correct. However, before we continue, I'm actually noticing that these characters are in the kind of standard order for the hiragana chart. And so what I mean by that is if we open a new tab, we go to linguacommand.com, writing systems, and we'll just go to theory section, click hiragana. You can see here that this is the intrinsic kind of standard order for learning hiragana. So it's a, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, etc. And the quiz is being asked, like the questions are being placed in that same order. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to press random ordering. And so now this is just, that's scrambled the order of, in which the questions are asked. And so I think that will make it just a tad harder, and it will force me to really know all of these characters inside out. So let's try that again. We'll do ni now. And there's one other thing. So I do actually know the this character. I believe it's 1, 2, 3. Now I've made, well, so firstly I should point out that I'm actually the software engineer behind this website. And in a previous live stream, someone commented that I was actually writing the characters in the wrong stroke order. And I'd already had like these stroke order videos over here, but it's a bit annoying to go to a new tab just to see that. So I've made this handy little diagram. You can press here, show answer. And this diagram will show you how to actually write the character in the correct stroke order. So as it says here, you draw the strokes in numerical order. So starting at 1, 2, and then 3. And you start at each number and you move away from it. So you start at 1, you move away. You start at 2, you move away. You start at 3, you move away. And so, that's what I've done here. So we can submit this. This is correct. So we'll move on to the next one. And, well, no more cheating. I'm gonna, try and do this without showing the answer, unless I'm really stuck. So this is, I think it's something like, oh, okay. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. That's 4. Now that looks correct. Let's do a quick check on the... Ooh, this is not ideal. So this is correct, but we're not really sure if the stroke order is right. So I'm going to take a quick look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that was correct. But what I don't like is the fact that the show answer just completely disappeared. This is obviously not as good of a drawing. So what we could do is, I think what you'd really want is you'd want to show the stroke order diagram here as well, wouldn't you? And so, please excuse the brief intermission, but if I open Visual Studio Code and press npm run dev, I just basically span up a local copy of the website. And so if I now go to handwriting modal, that's the component responsible for this pop-up, right? So this is the handwriting modal, and we'll need to log in. So if we go to writing systems practice, and we go to basic hiragana, and then we swap the languages and select handwrite our answers. Let's just, for argument's sake, actually draw out the character and submit. Currently, we're viewing not this stroke order diagram, but just the actual character here. And for those of you that just joined, I noticed a little, well, basically, I'm practicing how to write basic hiragana in the correct stroke order. And so here you've got this kind of Photoshop equivalent where you can draw the character like so. And when you submit your answer, you make this comparison here. And if it matches, you say it's correct, else you say it's wrong. However, when you write hiragana, it needs to be done in the correct stroke order. And so just this character alone, it's not really ideal. What you'd really want is to have this diagram where you draw the strokes in numeric order. So you start at 1, then you do 2, and you do 3. And also when you do a stroke, you start where the number is and you move away from it. And so what I really want is I want this diagram to be, if I just do this quickly, I want it here as well. So fortunately, as the software engineer behind this project, I've got access to the code base. And so I'm very quickly going to make that change. So what we can do is we can search for this text. And then here is the bit of code that I'm interested in. So we're basically saying when we don't have the image, we just show the actual character. And so we want to basically copy this bit of logic and place it where it shows this. So now we can search for compare your drawing here. Okay. Let's take a look at this. So I'm just drawing this quickly. This image is not showing, so let's go back to the code base. And search for this bit of code again. So we're going to go back. So I think what we really want is we want this whole snippet, because it's basically saying if that character exists as a diagram, then you show it as an image, else you just show the text. So we're going to place that whole code snippet here. And this is a lot better because now we've got this stroke order diagram when we're checking our correct answer. So we're quickly going to do that. We'll do one other quick check. So for example, if you're doing vocabulary, you can also do, you can handwrite your answers. So for example, here we're doing animals. The question is being posed in English and we're writing our answer in hiragana and katakana. We're handwriting our answers. And so tori looks like this. And that's perfect, right? Because here there is no stroke order diagram because it's actually two hiragana. And so this code is working just fine. So what we can do now is we can just say feat ensuring stroke order diagram is shown when relevant in answer check. We'll push that and then git branch, git checkout development, git merge prod. So in about 2 minutes time, we get to have this diagram be shown here. What I mean with that is, so let's go over here. So as you may remember, this is the hiragana character a. Here it's showing the stroke order diagram, but on the actual website, it's not. So in about 2 minutes time, that code change is going to be pushed into production. And I've noticed that I've still got my heater on. The temperature is getting quite hot. So I'm just going to turn that off. Be right back. So we can close this, go back to the quiz, and we want to uncheck swap languages because we're going from English to, or like Romaji, and we want to write our answers as hiragana. We select handwrite our answers, and let's just write this kana. So this is not being loaded just yet, so we'll just have to wait 1 more minute. But in the meantime, there's nothing stopping me from trying the next character. So E, I think, is this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. U looks like this. E looks like a Z, essentially. It's like this. And then O is 1, 2, 3, like that. Let's give this a quick refresh and see if the diagram is shown. So A is 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So we've got the diagram here now, so we can check if the ordering is as we did it earlier. And of course, you can't really see what the ordering is, but you know, you just wrote the character, so you should be able to remember. And so what can we do now? We can press random ordering. And with that said, let's try this quiz again. So I think N looks something like that. We'll give that a pass. And that looks pretty accurate. Re, it's tricky. So I think it's 1, 2. But the problem is, right? Now that we're checking like stroke order, I much prefer to write this as like 2 separate strokes. I think this is a lot more legible, right? Because this is the answer. But the correct way to do it is to actually make this one big stroke, and that's really hard. It's really difficult. Let's see what we can do. So this is 1, 2. So I think this looks like a mess personally. And so even though it says do it in 2 strokes, I'm not going to listen. It's 1, 2, 3. I think that just looks a lot neater. But yeah, please comment if you've got any ideas with how to handle that second stroke, because the first part there, it's just so hard to write that neatly. As for ni, that one's quite simple. It's just 1, 2, 3. Ah, this is interesting. This stroke here, it doesn't have this movement at this little shape here. So let's redo that. So it's 1, 2, 3. Okay. U is 1. No, let's do that a little bit different. 1, 2. Yeah, that's we'll give that a pass. I think that looks pretty good. And then yeah. Oh, this is tricky because I also practice writing some katakana. So I remember that there's one, I think like this. I think that might be the hiragana for yeah. That's not quite right. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. So it's 1. No, it's 1, 2, 3. And then me. It's something like this. Let's clear that and try again. So it's 1, 2. 1, 2. That looks great. We'll accept that. And then ne. I think it's actually very similar to re, but it's was it something like this? Let's clear that and try again. So it's 1, and then 2. That doesn't look quite right. 1, 2, 1, 2. That last stroke is a bit tricky. 1, 2. Something like this. And that's actually not half bad. We can draw that a bit neater. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. We'll accept that. Now, we definitely know this one by now. It looks like this. 1, 2. I'm overthinking a bit too much. 1, 1, 2. There we go. We'll take that. This one, it's quite simple. It looks like this. but it's less diagonal than I thought it was. So let's try that again. 1, 2. Great. O is very simple. It's 1, 2, 3. Or I thought it was, but this is actually not quite right, because this curls all the way around. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll accept that. She is very simple, looks like this. We'll accept that. And then ru. I think it's something like this, but it's less stretched out. So it's more like that last one. So let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Great. That looks good enough to me. We'll take that. Fu. So here's the problem with fu. I can't remember. I think it's something like this. So did I get that in the right order? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this one doesn't really curve out. It actually curves in, but that's pretty close. For those of you that have just joined, I'm practicing how to write basic hiragana. I'm here on lingocommand.com, and we've got the questions here being posed in like romaji, or basically like using the English alphabet. And then I have to handwrite the answer. So if we go here to to, the character has 2 strokes. This is the first, and then this is the second stroke for to. And then when we submit our answer, we get this diagram, which also shows the correct stroke order. So you start at number 1, go down, you move away from the number. That's how these diagrams work. Then for 2, you start here, you move away from the number. And so this is quite close, but I'm not happy with this slant, so I'm going to redo that. So this is actually going straight down. Maybe it's a little bit slanted, but we'll give that a pass, and we'll move on to the next one. So he, it's very simple. It's 1 stroke. And it looks like that. Now perhaps this curve's a bit sharper, but we'll pass that. And then he. I cannot remember. So here we can actually give ourselves the, show the answer. Of course. Okay, so let's try that. It was 1 big stroke, and it looks like this. Now this actually goes down a bit more, so let's try that again. So it's 1, 2, 3. But as 1 stroke, I actually not sure I was counting to 3 there. We'll submit that and accept, and then se. It wasn't something like this, was it? Yeah, it was actually. Okay. So the thing I'm noticing here is I started with this stroke, then this is the second, and this is the third. Whilst if you look at this diagram, that's not correct. You start here, then you go to the second one, and then you go to the third. So the third is the horizontal dash. So let's write this in the correct stroke order. So 1, 2. This stroke order, I'm not really sure if it makes sense to me, but that's the way it's done, I guess. The proportions here are a bit off. So this goes down further. And this stroke, the vertical part is longer than it is horizontal. And this is too wide. So let's try that again. So 1. We want this a bit more curved. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That looks a lot neater. So we'll accept that and move on to the next one. So ka is very simple from what I remember. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll accept that and move on to ri. Now I think ri is a bit tricky because it's written in two ways. So usually if you're typing on a computer, it's something like this. Whilst if you are handwriting, ri, it is something like that. And just to kind of explain why, I have a feeling from what I know that it's a little bit like how you write the English letter A. So for example, you can write A like this, and you can write it like that. Both are A. It's the same here with Japanese. So this is the one that we want to go for because we're handwriting. So let's try that. 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's a bit wider, and this shape, we're gonna redo it. It was essentially correct, but I just want to get into the right habits. I think it looked something more like this. And this is slanted like that. We're gonna do that one more time, actually. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1. So this is the first stroke. That's the second stroke. We'll submit that. That looks pretty good to me. We'll move on to the next. Te. What is that again? Because here's the problem when you study how to write hiragana and katakana, right? I think for katakana, this is te, but what is it for hiragana? I'm gonna be so annoyed when I see the answer because I do know this. So this is ta, and then ti. Oh, this ta chi. Te. Okay, we're wasting time here, so let's just look at the answer. Oh, that's so silly. I should have remembered that. Okay, so that's one big stroke for te. And then va. So this is actually one stroke. One. I think that looks pretty accurate. This is curving up a bit too much. So let's try that again. 1, 2. We'll take that. As for this here, how that's supposed to be one stroke, I think that's so hard to write neatly. So for example, if you do hiragana, stroke, order, va, and we go to images. I might have to practice this because it would be nice to be able to do this in the actually correct stroke order. So it's 1, 2. Okay, so these two, so this point and this point, they shouldn't be too far away from this line. So if I do 1, that actually looks not too bad. Let's try that again. 1. No. 1. Still not quite right. 1, 2. Now, of course, I was practicing a lot, so let's compare that with what we have here on Google. This could be perhaps a tad more to the right, but I think that's actually not bad. So let's do tsu now, the actual character that we're supposed to be doing in this box. We'll take that. And then chi looks like a 5, right? So it's 1, 2. But that can be done more neatly. So it's 1. This stroke is from left to right. It's pretty horizontal. Let's see. Oh, this is actually 1 stroke. Okay, fine. I was trying to do this like skip thing because that's what you do for ki, for example, or sa. You see here for sa, for example, you leave this little gap. And because sa and chi are essentially, they look quite mirrored, I was like, oh, well, you have to do it here as well, but you don't. So this is more straightforward then. So it's just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay, cool. And then nu, it's 1, 2. I would say that was pretty perfect. We'll take that. That's great. Now I know for katakana, mu, it's like a weird triangle. I think it looks something like that. But what is it for hiragana? Is it something like this? One, 2, 3. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Take that. Ku, it's very simple. Looks like this. Ke, it's 1, 2, 3. I think. Ah, so it's mirrored. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Accept that, and then we go to ta. So ta, I know because it looks like this. Except this stroke actually goes to the left. So it goes from top right to bottom left. Very slight diagonal there. So let's do that again. So it's 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's pretty perfect. We'll accept that. And then na, it's the same story, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this loop can be a bit bigger, but you know, that was pretty accurate. Let's just do that one more time. So it's 1, 2, 3. There. It's okay, this part extends a bit more. Sure, this feels a bit tedious, making these small adjustments, but I think it's time well spent. You know, this is very basic stuff, so it's good to get it right. So let's submit our answer, and that was written in the correct stroke order, so we'll accept this answer. And for those of you that have just joined, I'm practicing how to write hiragana, handwrite them. I'm here on the Lingo Command website. And the questions here are being posed in Romaji, like using the European alphabet. And then I have to handwrite the answers. And so when you press on the box, you get this kind of like this Photoshop looking box where you can draw. You can press undo here. And so now the question is, what is no? And I think it's one stroke that looks like this. And when I say stroke, what I mean by that is, so this was one movement, right? The pen didn't leave the page once. But for example, something like ta, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 strokes. In any case, let's write this and submit our answers. And you can see here that this is indeed one stroke, so we'll say that the drawing matches and consider that correct, and we'll move on to ha. Now the question is, do I remember ha? I think I do. So you get the first stroke, it's kind of vertical like this. And then you get 1. Okay, so this is stroke 1, this is 2, this is 3. And then this is 4. So we'll submit. Okay, so what I've written here is ho. Because I remember basically when you ha and ho are essentially the same, except one has 1 stroke here and the other has 2. So let's close this and redo it. 1. And the other thing that I notice is there's no little like bit going up here. It's just a vertical line. And then we've got this stroke going from left to right. Let's draw that a bit more neatly. No, one more time. Let's see if that's correct. And it's not, right? Because this actually does look different. We're gonna super quickly draw this one more time. 1, 2. That's better. Okay. The important thing to note, by the way, is these strokes are being done in numerical order. So you start, for example, this diagram explains the correct stroke order. So you start at 1, you go and you move away from the number. So you go down. Here, you start at 2, you move away from the number. Then you go to 3, and you move away from the number. And you're wondering, like, why do you even need the correct stroke order, right? So for example, if you're doing ha, you can draw it like this. Like this. But technically, there's nothing really stopping you from writing it like that. And then putting this line here. And I think basically, as far as I'm aware, imagine if I wrote English like this. Sure, that says water, but one that took a lot longer, it just looks a bit strange. And it's inefficient. And it's the same with Japanese, right? If you're writing hiragana, writing things in the correct stroke order makes your handwriting neater, you write faster. And also, it's just what the native Japanese people themselves do. And so, if you're learning a language, I think it's best to follow the example from native people. Perhaps, if you get to the point where you're fluent in Japanese, then you can say, oh, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to do it this way. But, as a complete beginner, I'm just going to listen to what they recommend. Now, I from what I remember, ma is actually very similar to ho. So this is ho. This is ho. But when you remove this, you get ma. Right? 1, 2, 3. So that's correct. We'll accept that. And then we'll go to wo. So now I say wo, but it's actually o. It's pronounced o, but it's written as wo. This one's a bit of a nightmare. I remember there are these like 2 kind of interlocking shapes. Let's see. Okay. So if we're writing O, you get this horizontal stroke. Then this one. And then this. Okay, so this is a bit extreme. That should have stopped about there. So let's try that again. So you go from left to right. I would say that looks pretty great. We'll accept that. And then key. So I think key is 1, 2, 3, something like this. But the question is, do the strokes go like that? I don't think so. I think these strokes go from bottom left to top right. So let's try that again. 1, 2, and submit our answers. Okay, that's everything was right except the whole thing is mirrored. Oh. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. Accept that, and then we go to sol. Can't remember what sol is. So we have this one. This is su. Oh yeah, of course. Okay, so 1, 2. Actually, sorry, this is one stroke. So you start here, and you go like that. And that looks pretty good. We'll submit that. And then it kind of looks like a Z. So we've got this stroke here, and then it's, yeah, we'll take that. And then sa looks just like chi. So this is chi. And so sa is pretty much that, but mirrored. Pretty sure that's sa. So let's clear everything. And for those of you that have just joined, I am practicing writing hiragana on the Lingo Command website. The questions here are being posed in like romaji using the English alphabet, and I'm handwriting my answers. And so here I'm doing sa. So if I press in this little box, I get this kind of Photoshop looking pop-up in which I can draw my answer. And so from what I remember, sa, this is the first stroke going from left to right. And then you get this stroke going down. And so we can submit our answer and check. So I would say that's pretty spot on. Now there's one thing I want to point out here, right? Or actually a couple of things. So the first is when this is being typed on a computer, sa actually looks like this. Whilst when it's handwritten, this is the more common form. And you might be wondering, why are there two variations? I'm not really sure. I think it's a little bit like, you know how in English you've got an A like this, and then you've got an A like that. My point is, you know, a single letter can be written in multiple ways. This is popular for typed. This is popular for handwritten. Well, you get the point. I won't finish that word. So let's just submit our answer. So 1, 2, 3. And why am I kind of pointing out these numbers 1, 2, and 3? So you can see here, this is called a stroke order diagram. And these strokes have to be done in order. So you start at 1 and you move away from the number. Then you go to 2, you move away from the number. And then you go to 3 and you move away from the number. So we'll say that this drawing matches and we'll move on to the next one. And when I'm mentioning that stroke order is important, the reason is, one, it lets you write faster. Second, it lets you write more neatly. And then also it's standard like amongst like native Japanese people. And so if they insist, we as beginners, or at least me as a beginner, I would probably follow suit. So now the question is, what is the hiragana for yo? So from what I remember, is it something like this? And it is. It is. So we'll just submit that. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. I'm going to accept that. For anyone that's just joined, I'm practicing how to write basic hiragana on the Lingo Command website. The questions here are being posed in Romaji, and I'm just handwriting the answers here. So if you press here, you get this Photoshop pop-up. Let's try it out. So is it something like this? Yeah, once again, that's not bad, but I think this can be a bit sharper, right? So it should probably look like that, and then this top slope. This first stroke's a bit more slanted, it goes down. So let's rewrite that. One, no, that's too much. One, no, one, slightly down, two. Let's submit. Now that's not bad, but there's too much space here. So we'll do it one more time. One, no, one, two. There we go. Let's move on to suit. So from what I remember, you have this stroke going from left to right, and then it's this. That's correct, so we'll accept that, and then we move to ko. Ko looks like this. Oh, that's completely wrong. So what have I written here then? What is ko in katakana? Okay, I'm not sure what I'm getting mixed up here, but let's just... Actually, what is ko in hiragana? Ah, this is a situation in which you've got different fonts once again. Okay, so on iOS, so this is actually correct. It's just this part here. Sometimes you write it, sometimes you don't. Ah, that's so confusing. We're gonna consider that correct and move on. Now, remember that ha, it's this one. So you get, this is the first stroke, that's the second, this is the third. Ho is very similar. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's clear all and just write that neatly. 1, 2, and then this is the fourth stroke. Now, one thing that I'm noticing here, so you see this little gap here. I've got this, but that's not actually correct. So 1, 2, 3. No, this is more straight down. There we go. That's better. Then we go to ro, rarirure ro. So, if I'm not mistaken, this is ro. And then ru is the same one with this little curl at the end. So let's clear everything. And let's try and get this correct. That's close, but we can make this more neat. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Great. Now, I said 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure why I was doing that because it's actually one stroke, right? But that's the correct shape, so we'll move on to the next one. And then I think, I'm not too sure about this, but I think this is mo. So that was actually like spot on, right? Because this is the first stroke going left to right. That's the second, left to right. Then you go down like this. So we'll match, we'll say that's matching. And then what is mat? So from what I remember, this is mu, and then this is me. They're very similar. So let's clear all and submit the answer. It's maybe a bit too much. 1, 2. So there are 2 strokes. Let's submit this. 1, 2, that's perfect. We're gonna submit that. And then you, I think this kind of a bit weird to say, but I think it looks like a fish, right? You can almost see this shape. You know, like when you're a kid and you draw a fish. So it's this, and then you've got this stroke here. So this is stroke 1, that's stroke 2. Submit our answers, and yeah, that's spot on. So we're gonna accept this. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to uncheck and then recheck random ordering, and I'm gonna go again. Hopefully without looking at answers this time. So that's 1. In fact, I'm not allowed to press show answer, and if I get it wrong, I get it wrong. I'm just gonna submit wrong. So 1, 2, 3. I can draw this a bit more neatly. 3. Let's submit. Let's say that's correct. Ka. Ka. So that's, is that 1, 2, 3? Let's try that a bit more neatly. 1, 2, 3. The shape could be better, but I think that will pass. This is 1. I think that's a pass, yeah. So this is 1, 2. Yeah. And then ha, it's 1, 2. Like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And if I get the correct shape but the wrong stroke order, that's also going to be considered incorrect. So I have to be very careful here. It's funny that I said that because I remember "se" is a bit of a nightmare because I think it's, you go straight down and then you go like to the right here and straight down and you go to the left and then you go left to right. So this is 1, 2, 3. Let's submit our answers. 1, 2, 3. That's correct. Fantastic. We'll go to the next one. So E. What is E? It's this. It's perfect. We'll submit our answer. And then me. Pretty sure that's me. Me. So it's 1. That's pretty good. We're gonna accept that. Now this is a bit trickier. So it's 1. I'm even gonna write the stroke order. So this is 1. That's 2. This is 3. You know, with an arrow like that, arrow like this, an arrow like that. For those of you that have just joined, I'm practicing hiragana on the Lingo Command website. Questions here are being posed in Romaji using like the English alphabet. So if I press here, I get this Photoshop component in which I have to draw the answer. And so for O, it's the first stroke is going from left to right. It's horizontal. The second is straight down. And then you get this kind of curved shape from what I remember. And then the third is down like this. But I think this is too wide. So let's just do that again. 1, 2, 3. Let's submit our answers. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's perfect. If the stroke order was wrong, by the way, I would consider this incorrect. I think that's very important. So let's now try ah. So this is 1, 2, 3. Submit our answers. 1, 2, 3. That looks correct to me, so we'll submit. And then you kind of, it looks like a fish to me. So now a fish It's kind of drawn like this. The first stroke of U is this, and then the second is this kind of curved shape going down. We'll submit that. 1, 2, that's correct. We'll submit this, and then we go to mu. Now the question is, what is mu in hiragana? I think this is me, and mu is the same with this like little thing at the end. So let's submit that. So the first stroke is this, and this is the second. Let's submit. That's completely wrong. Okay, so I think this might be nu. Actually, this is not mu, this is nu, what I've got here. But this is incorrect, so we're going to say this drawing does not match. And then we'll move on to the next one. So, is this ne? Let's submit. No way, I got it right. Fantastic. I mean, look, the squiggle at the end could be a bit broader, but we're gonna call that a pass. So this is actually o. It's written wo in Romaji, but it's pronounced as o. And the first stroke goes from left to right, and the second looks like this, and then the third is that. Right? 1, 2, 3. So we'll say that this drawing matches because it does. And then it looks like a Z to me, you know, like a. So let's draw that. So it's 1, 2. So Z with kind of like a little dash at the top. Submit that. 1, 2. Yeah, that looks right. And then we go to ra. So ra, it looks to me almost like a 5. This is ra. That looks correct to me. We'll accept that. And then ma. Okay, so there are 3 hiragana to me that look very similar. So the first one is this one, which is ha. The second is this one, ho. The third is ma, which looks just like ho, but without this stroke, right? It doesn't have that. And so I think it's good to study these 3 because you're going to get them mixed up quite easily. The way that I remember that is if there's this stroke on the left, you know it starts with a H. And if there comes before o in the alphabet, 1 comes before 2 when it comes to numbers. This has 1 horizontal stroke, that has 2. That's how I've tried to remember this. Now, I did a lot of talking, but maybe I've got this all wrong. I don't think I do, but let's see. So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. Okay, there's a bit more space here at the top. Let's just redo that quickly. So, okay, 1, 2, 3. Cool. As for wa, it's 1, 2. This kind of curls in a bit. And I personally, I really struggle with this stroke because obviously this first stroke is very simple, but you don't want to do something like this, right? I think the point with this stroke is to not go too far away from this vertical stroke. So you start here and you don't go too far. And then you go straight down and you don't go too far. So let's see. I could have maybe gone a little bit less far here out, but we'll call that a pass. And then u. So you've got this stroke kind of slanting down slightly. and then this shape here. Now their position relative to one another isn't perfect, so I need to work on that, but we'll give that a pass. Ru looks very similar to ro. So what I mean by that is this is ro, and then this is ru. Ru. So it's you know, don't get those two mixed up. Let's write this. So we're doing ru. So we've got this. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of space here, but I'm gonna consider that correct. And then ro. Oh, well, isn't that a funny coincidence? We just spoke about this. So let's write that a bit more neatly. I would say that's not bad. Yeah. And then he, this is very simple. It's actually the same in hiragana and katakana. So that's very easy to remember. There we go. Maybe this curve should be a bit sharper, but we'll accept that. And then go to na. So na is a bit confusing because I'll start by writing ta, which looks just like it. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is ta. And then na, it's the same. It's 1. Oh, by the way, the horizontal stroke comes first. So it's 1, 2, 3. This slopes down a bit. 3, and then 4. So this is na. The only difference really here is this bottom part from what I know. Let's just check if that's correct, right? Correct. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be na. 1, 2, 3, 4. This bottom stroke, it's a lot bigger than what I've got, but I think that's just about legible. We'll consider that pass, and we'll go to ko. Okay, so this is cool, and this varies from like with different handwriting. Some people, they write it with this little dash here. Sometimes they don't. I'm gonna submit this. That does look the same, so we'll give that a pass. Ku is very simple. It looks like this. Tsu. Tsu looks like this. Tsu looks like that. Fantastic. And then what is re? So re, it's straight down. It's the first stroke, and then I think this is re. Give that a pass. That looks correct to me. And then n, it's so you go down, go up, and then you've got this kind of swooping shape, but it's a bit more slanted, right? So it's like that. Oh, actually, it goes up a lot more. I'm gonna consider this almost. It's not that it's completely wrong, but let's just rewrite it. There we go. And then ri looks like this. Yeah, consider that pass. And then he looks like that. I think it looks a bit like the symbol for electrical resistance. Yeah, you see, it's like an ohm, but upside down. So now the question is, what is to? to. To is this. So we've got the first stroke here going slightly diagonally down, and then this shape is the second. That's correct, so we'll give that a pass. And then me looks a lot like mu. Give that a pass. And then so. This one's very tricky in my opinion. This is one stroke, there's a lot going on. But that looks correct to me. 1, 2, 3. This is mo. Yeah, I mean this could go to the left a bit more, but I'm gonna consider this a pass. And I'm gonna go to ta. So we've spoken about this before, so it's very similar to na. First stroke's horizontal. This is the second. This is the third. And then this is the fourth. Accept that. And then no looks like this. Let's write that a bit more neatly. This has to join. That pass. And then te. I'm not going to forget that again. It's this. Nu. Is that this one? One, two. Yeah, okay. Now the question is, where was I going wrong, right? Because initially I thought mu was this, right? Because this is, okay, it's a little bit confusing. So we have me, which is this one. Then we have mu, or no, we've got nu, which looks just like it, with a little squiggle at the end. And then we've got mu, which is 1, 2, 3. And so that's important to remember. Me and nu look very similar, and then nu is just kind of its mu is its own thing. So this is very messy. Mu, mu is its own shape. Okay, so what is ke? So ke, it's 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that looks pretty correct. This here wasn't really necessary, but it's still legible. But let's just write it again more neatly. Ho, it's the same as ha, right? But it has 2 strokes on this shape here on the right. And what's important is there's no extra space here. This 4th stroke starts where, like at the midpoint essentially of the 2nd stroke. Let's submit that. That looks correct to me. She, it's very simple. Kind of looks like a hook. And then yo, to me, has a strange stroke order. You start here, move out to the right, and then you've got this shape here. Now, what is ya? So ya, it's this. You've got this shape, and it's 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. So we'll submit that, and then we'll go to ki. Oh, this is so confusing because I think it's this. And it is. Yeah, don't overthink it, just do. Fantastic, that was correct. We'll take that. And then we go to fu. So fu is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll take that. Chi looks like a 5. It's 1. 1. No, that's a bit more. 1, 2. There we go. And then Sa. What is the coincidence? It's basically the mirror of Chi. So it's 1, 2, 3. Like, sorry, it's 1, 2, 2 strokes when you type. Right? When it's handwritten, you kind of omit this middle part. And so this is, normally it's 1 stroke, right? But it actually becomes 2 strokes. So it's 1, 2, 3. So let's clear everything and write that neatly. 1, 2, 3. That looks correct to me. And so the one that I got wrong was mu. Okay. Now I think this might be the perfect place to stop. My plan is for tomorrow to maybe do one more round of this and then practice handwriting basic katakana. But I'd like to, thank you for watching the video, for watching the stream. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That would really help support me to continue making videos like this. And also, since I'm the developer working on lingocommand.com, the website, and the also developer working on the accompanying iOS app with identical features, basically any support in the YouTube channel will enable me to keep working on this app and keep fine-tuning it so that not only myself but other people can learn Japanese like this. In any case, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.